Welcome to this anti-bribery and corruption briefing. In this session, we will break into two parts. First, we will be discussing about what is bribery and the relevant anti-bribery laws in Malaysia. Second, we will be discussing about the anti-bribery and corruption policy of the company. Kindly take note that you must complete the entire briefing, or your attendance will not be recognized. Let's start talking about what is bribery and corruption. The term bribery and corruption is used to cover any action which would be considered as an offense under the applicable anti-bribery and corruption laws. In Malaysia, the primary legislation governing bribery and corruption is the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission Act 2009, or in short, the MACC Act. The United Nations define bribery as the offering, accepting, or soliciting of an advantage or gratification as an inducement for an action which is illegal, unethical, or a breach of trust, or to refrain from acting. Corruption is broadly defined as the abuse of entrusted power for private gain. For example, a contractor rewards a gift in the form of an expensive watch to a government official for awarding a project to the company belonging to the contractor. This is a form of bribery and is an offense under the MACC Act. There are three elements in a bribery case, which are: 1. There is a person offering bribe and a person accepting bribe. 2. The bribe acts as an inducement or as a reward. 3. To influence the recipient's decision during his performance of duties. There are four main offenses stipulated in the MACC Act, which are: 1. Soliciting or receiving gratification, or in simple terms bribe, under Section 16 and Section 17 sub A. 2. Offering or giving gratification or bribe, under Section 17 sub B. 3. Intending to deceive, or providing false claim, under Section 18. 4. Using office or position for gratification, bribe, abuse of power position, under Section 23. These are not the exhaustive list of offences under the MACC Act. There are other offences under the MACC Act, such as failure to report any bribery activities, under Section 25 of the MACC Act. Take the earlier example, where a contractor gives expensive watch to a government official for awarding a project to the company belonging to the contractor. The contractor will be in breach of Section 17(b) for offering gratification to the government official, or Section 18 for intending to deceive if he has submitted any documents which are false or containing false details during the tender stage in order to obtain the project for the company. The government official, on the other hand, will be in breach of Section 17(a) for receiving gratification or bribe from the contractor, or Section 23 if he has misused his position to obtain the gratification or bribe from the contractor. So, what can be a form of gratification? The definition of gratification under the MACC Act is very wide. It can be in any forms, whether monetary or non-monetary, which includes money, gift, discount, votes, reward, travel package, car, credit card, hamper, voucher, phone, luxury watch or bag, property, club membership, bonus, services, job position, contract of employment, loan, any forbearance to demand, etc. In simple terms, anything of value or any advantage could fall under the definition of gratification. It is important to note that there is no minimum value for the gratification stated in the MACC Act. This would mean that offering or accepting bribes of 10 ringgit, 5 ringgit, or anything lesser, all considered an offense under MACC Act. What is the penalty if one have been found guilty for corruption-related offences, according to the MACC Act? The general penalty for a corruption-related offence is maximum 20 years imprisonment and a minimum fine of 1 million ringgit, or 10 times the value of the bribe, whichever is higher.
Komander, kadet baru dah sampai.
Selamat datang, kadet. Aku adalah Komander Kokochi dan ini adalah Komisioner DZ.
Hai, apa khabar?
Kamu akan bertugas di sini untuk menjaga sistem pertahanan stesen ini semasa kami keluar menjalankan misi Top Ops. Jangan risau, aku sudah membuat pesanan sistem medan kuasa baru untuk pertahanan stesen ini dari ancaman luar. Kamu hanya perlu klik OK untuk selesaikan pesanan itu dan medan kuasa akan dipasang secara automatik.
Wah, terima kasih. Baiklah, kita orang pergi dulu. Jaga stesen ni tau.
Selamat berjaya.
Alamak, kita diserang laluan angkasa. Cepat, kadet. Beli medan kuasa yang Komander Kokochi cakap tadi tu.
Jap. Saya tahu abang nak beli medan kuasa untuk pertahankan stesen Top Ops kan? Apa kata kalau abang beli medan kuasa tu daripada saya bang? Murah je bang, harga kawan-kawan bang. Alah, jangan pergi banyak-banyak bang. Kalau abang beli daripada saya akan share keuntungan dengan abang bang. 10% tu bang. Untunglah macam ni kan bang kan? Saya dapat, abang pun dapat bang.
Apakah langkah anda seterusnya? Teruskan pembelian medan kuasa Komander Kokochi atau ingkar arahan dan beli medan kuasa dari Bagogo?
Example of bribery and corruption cases reported in newspaper. As you have learned just now, a person committed bribery and corruption related offences will be sent to prison and be subject to a minimum fine of 1 million ringgit or 10 times the value of the bribe, whichever is higher. Not only that, committing bribery and corruption will also lower the dignity of oneself and his family, and their future will all be affected. At the moment, our MACC maintain a corruption offender database on the MACC website, which is open to public, showing the profile of those convicted person. Looking at the impact of bribery and corruption activities, in a broader sense, it will cause the increase in the cost of living as the price of goods will need to factor in any bribes given in the process. Public safety may also be affected if the buildings built not according to specifications was approved after receiving bribes. It may also cause injustice in the society when the rights of certain groups was denied and the gap between the rich and the poor will be widened. As bribery and corruption activities have far-reaching impacts on the society, we must all say no to bribery and corruption. In the year 2020, there is a new provision under Section 17A MACC Act 2009 coming into force, which introduced the corporate liability principle, where a commercial organization can be considered guilty if any of its employees and/or associates commit corruption for the benefit of the organization. According to Section 17 Sub 1 of the MACC Act, a commercial organization commits an offense if a person associated with the commercial organization corruptly gives, agrees to give, promises, or offers to any person any gratification, whether for the benefit of that person or another person with intent to obtain or retain business for the commercial organization, or to obtain or retain an advantage in the conduct of business for the commercial organization. We will talk about the definition for person associated later. We have discussed earlier the meaning of gratification, and the same applies here. The words for the benefit of that person or another person are meant to cover both direct or indirect bribery. For example, when a person gives bribe to the government official's wife or his friend with intention to affect that government official's decision to obtain an advantage for the commercial organization, this could also be a breach under Section 17A. Besides, the words obtain or retain an advantage as used in the section may cover a wide range of scenario. For example, you have missed the deadline to submit tender and you give a bribe to the company officer, so he would put your company back into the list as if you have submitted the tender before the deadline. Such assistance could be an advantage and may therefore be a breach under Section 17A. Section 17 Sub 6 of the MACC Act defines person associated into 4 groups of people, which are director, partner, employee, person who performs services for or on behalf of the commercial organization. This last group of people, person who performs services for or on behalf of the commercial organization, could potentially covers a lot of third parties, such as our vendors, suppliers, distributors, resellers, sales agents, canvassers, consultants, or representatives who assist us in applying licenses or permits with the government authorities. Following this new provision, under Section 17A of the MACC Act, if any of the above-mentioned categories of people, person associated with the company corruptly gives, or agrees to give bribe to another person with intention to obtain business or any benefit for the commercial organization, the commercial organization is also considered guilty in the event whether or not the upper management or its representatives know about the corruption acts committed by those associated person. If a commercial organization is found guilty under Section 17A, the penalty under Section 17 sub 2 is a fine of not less than 10 times the value of the bribe or Rm 1 million, whichever is higher, or imprisonment for up to 20 years, or both. Nevertheless, the commercial organization can defend themselves by showing that the organization has implemented adequate procedure in its operation. In this regards, our company have introduced our anti-bribery and corruption policy, or in short, ABC policy. This ABC policy was approved by our board of directors, and this is also one of the Bursa listing requirements. In line with the group's commitment to apply the highest standards of ethical conduct and integrity in its business activities in the market it operates in, the group had adopted various policies, such as the anti-bribery and corruption policy, the whistleblowing policy, and the Code of Conduct and Ethics. You may get a copy of these policies from MCIL website, or your company's intranet, or your human resource department, or your superior. In this session, we will be talking about some general principles and the important points from the ABC policy. After this session, you are required to read the full policies, familiarize yourselves with the content of all these various policies and adhere to them. As stated in our ABC policy, our company take a zero-tolerance approach to bribery and corruption. This ABC policy applies to all directors and employees, and all directors and employees should perform their duties objectively and ethically, and not to do anything and act in any manner which will cast doubts or suspicions over the group's commitment in combating bribery and corruption. There will be no waivers or exceptions. The group call upon all third parties who perform work or services for or on behalf of the group to act in accordance with the policy at all times. This ABC policy shall be read together with the Code of Conduct and Ethics. For internal parties, our directors or employees, non-compliance with this policy may result in disciplinary action, up to and including dismissal in appropriate circumstances. For external parties, such as our vendors, suppliers, etc., non-compliance may lead to penalties, including termination of contract or further legal action, such as reporting to police or MACC. Now, we move on to talk about gift. Our company's policy is that all directors and employees, or third parties acting for or on behalf of the group, are prohibited from directly or indirectly receiving, providing, or soliciting for gifts, subject only to certain limited exceptions as stated in this policy. You are responsible to inform your immediate family members and any third parties who have business dealings with the group of this policy, and to request the third parties' understanding for and adherence to this policy. The limited situations where the provision of gifts are permitted are: 1. Exchange of gifts at the company-to-company level, for example, gifts exchanged between companies as part of an official company visit. 2. Gifts given in relation to the company's official events, for example, commemorative gifts or door gifts offered to all guests attending the event, and gifts to judges. 3. Gifts from the company to directors and employees in recognition of their services. 4. Token gifts of nominal value bearing the company's logo, for example, t-shirts, pens, diaries, calendars, and other small promotional items, that are given out equally to members of the public attending company's events, which are deemed as part of the company's brand building or promotional activities. 5. Gifts to external parties who have no business dealings with the group, for example, gifts to charitable organizations. The employee shall ensure that the gifts given are lawful, reasonable, and approved by the head of operation, with no intention to gain any advantage in return. Any gifts provided must not be excessive, frequent, and details of such gifts provided must be properly recorded. For receiving gifts, our general principle is that you should immediately politely refuse or return such gifts and inform the third party of this policy. Such gifts shall not influence your performance of duties and shall not be given to you privately. In the situation where it is impossible to refuse or return the gifts, you should immediately inform your head of department and properly record the gifts received in the gift register for any gifts which is of value more than 250 ringgit, and any ongpao more than 50 ringgit. If you are not sure about the value of the gifts you received, you should always record such gifts received in the gift register. Appendix is a sample of the gift register. Each companies may have different form, and you may consult your head of department for the appropriate form if you are in doubt. As part of the ordinary course of business, our company may receive sponsorship from third party when organizing events. This is a like sale of advertising space, as such third party providing sponsorship will in return have their advertisement, logo, or name displayed during the events. In such situation, you should get the prior approval from the head of department, head of operation, and keep proper records in relation to the event and the sponsorship received. Appendix B is a sample of the form to record the relevant details, and you may consult your head of department for the appropriate form if you are in doubt. In relation to entertainment and corporate hospitality, our company's policy is that entertainment and corporate hospitality should not be given or received if there is any intention, or it could be seen as having any intention to improperly influence the recipient to gain any advantage in return, whether directly or indirectly, for the group or yourself, or as a reward for having acted improperly. Some common examples of entertainment and corporate hospitality provided to another person are meals, transportation, and accommodation. When providing entertainment and corporate hospitality, proper care and good judgment must be taken to protect the company's reputation against any allegations of impropriety or the perception of bribery and corruption. Entertainment and corporate hospitality must not be provided during sensitive period, such as tender process or contract negotiation, must not extend to family members, friends, or relatives, must not be too excessive, lavish, or frequent, and must not be illegal or in breach of any local or foreign anti-bribery laws. Written approval from the head of department or head of operation need to be obtained following the limits of authorities and the internal guidelines, and all records need to be properly kept. Appendix C is a sample of the form to record the relevant details when you are providing entertainment or corporate hospitality to a third party, and you may consult your head of department for the appropriate form if you are in doubt. The group prohibits directors and employees from soliciting entertainment and corporate hospitality that is excessive, frequent, inappropriate, illegal, or given in response to, in anticipation of, or to influence a favorable business decision or any other advantage. You should exercise proper care and judgment before accepting any entertainment or corporate hospitality. Avoid any entertainment and corporate hospitality which is lavish and frequent or against the law. For example, if an organizer provides you 1-month hotel stay when inviting you to attend a 3-day activity, such situation may potentially be considered as bribery, and you should refuse such accommodation provided to you. In the event any third party offer any entertainment to you, you should politely refuse the entertainment and inform the third party of our ABC policy and pay for any expenses incurred by you. You should immediately report to the head of department, head of operation, of any entertainment you have received, and properly record the relevant details of such entertainment received, if the estimated value is more than 250 ringgit. Appendix E is a sample of the form to record the relevant details when you receive any entertainment or corporate hospitality from a third party. You may consult your head of department for the appropriate form if you are in doubt. Any invitation for media visit, whether overseas or local, must be referred to the editor-in-chief or head of operation, who will then decide on whether or not to accept such invitation and the employees to be sent for such media visit. Never accept any invitation which is made privately or does not have any reporting value. The invitation for media visit shall not come with the conditions to have any authority over the content of the article concerning such media visit or to cite such article before publication. Appendix D is a sample of the form to record the relevant details for acceptance of media visit. You may consult your head of department for the appropriate form if you are in doubt. Next, we talk about facilitation payment and kickbacks. What is facilitation payment? It is a payment made to an individual in control of a process or decision to secure or expedite the performance of duties, for example payments to expedite the issuance of a visa, license, permit or approval, or clearing of goods through customs. Our company prohibits receiving, requesting, giving and promising of facilitation payments, either directly or indirectly, from any person, whether for the benefit of the group or the employees personally. This prohibition will not cover official process that is transparent and available to all. For example, there may be notices showing at the counter or on the website informing the public that there are two options available. The regular option, which will take 2 months to process, while the express option will take 2 weeks to process. In this event, the payment made for the express option is not a facilitation payment. You should always ask for an official receipt for any payment, which will be useful to show that the payment you made is not a facilitation payment. Next, we talk about corporate social responsibility, or in short CSR. As bribes can be concealed in the form of charitable, sponsorships or donations, all CSR, sponsorships and donations shall be done in good faith and are not aimed to gain any business or other advantage in return, whether for the group or your self-enrichment. All CSR must be pre-approved in writing by the head of operation and acquired all the necessary internal and external authorizations. Sponsorships or donations must not be made to individuals or in cash, and we should donate or work with well-established entities having an adequate organizational structure to guarantee proper administration of the funds. Sponsorships and donations must be transparent and properly recorded in the company's books and records. Each company may have their own procurement policies and process in place. You should follow all these existing procurement policies and process in your company, obtain necessary approvals according to authorities, and act in accordance with this ABC policy. All employees and directors shall avoid any actual or potential conflict of interest. Conflict of interest may arise when your own personal interest is in conflict with the company's interest. For example, when you intend to purchase goods on behalf of the company from an entity owned by your parents. In such situation, you should declare your conflict and refrain from participating in this procurement process. You may consult your head of department for the appropriate form to declare your conflict of interest. Ad hoc purchase request will not be processed unless with valid and exceptional reasons endorsed by head of department. Employees in the procurement process shall conduct appropriate assessment or due diligence to understand the prospective business associates and ensure that they are not in conflict of interest and they are not involved in any bribery and corruption activities. The scope and extent of the due diligence required will vary depending upon the circumstances of each proposed transaction, and it should commensurate with the risks of bribery and corruption and the amount involved in that transaction. An example of ways to conduct due diligence is to search the corruption offender database on MACC website or to do CTOS search. Do not enter into any business dealings with any third party reasonably suspected of engaging in bribery and corruption. You should immediately report the information to your head OD department. In deciding the selection of business associates, the decision must be based on approved objective criteria and not to be influenced by personal bias or favoritism. Regular review or evaluation should be done on the quality and the pricing of work done, services or goods, to to ensure that the works, services, or goods received matches the approved procurement requests. As we have learned earlier, that the new Section 17A of the MACC Act covers bribery committed by person providing services for or on behalf of the commercial organization, such as our distributor, agent, contractor, suppliers, joint venture partner, and etc. Care must be taken to ensure that these third parties do not engage or attempt to engage in bribery. You should inform third parties who have dealings with our company about our ABC policy and code of conducts and ethics, and conduct due diligence to assess the integrity of these third parties. Here are some red flags, and you should inform your head of department immediately. For example, the third party have any record or reputation for corruption, including whether they are being investigated or prosecuted for any corruption-related offense, or have been convicted, sanctioned, the third party whose professional qualification have been revoked or suspended, temporary or permanent. The third party objects to the inclusion of anti-bribery and corruption representations and warranties in commercial agreements, or objects to termination rights if there is any involvement in bribery and corruption. The third party's request for convoluted payment arrangements, such as payment in cash or to accounts belonging to a relevant party in other countries, or requests for excessive upfront payment. Public official includes members of parliament, state assemblymen, judges, police officers, elected and appointed officers, employees, representatives of national or federal government, state governments, local governments, government departments, government agencies, government-owned companies, government-controlled companies, government-linked companies, or public international organizations, and officials of political parties and candidates for political offices. It is against this policy to bribe any public officials anywhere in the world, whether or not such activities are considered illegal under the legislation in any country in which business is transacted. All directors and employees must exercise extra caution and be more vigilant when dealing with public officials. You must obtain written approval from the head of operation before offering any gift, entertainment, or corporate hospitality to public officials or their family members, and comply with all other provisions as stated in the parts for gifts and entertainment and corporate hospitality. Political contribution. The group does not make or offer any political contributions, in cash or in kind, to any political parties, politicians, elected officials, or candidates for political office. No directors or employees shall make any political contribution on behalf of the group, or use the group's resources for the same purpose, or use their position with the group to try to influence other person to make political contributions. Money laundering is the process by which persons or groups try to conceal the proceeds of illegal activities, or try to make the sources of their illegal funds look legitimate. The group objects to practices related to money laundering. We should not work with any business associates involving in money laundering. If there is any suspicious behaviors or activities, you should immediately report to the head of department or head of operation. Human resources, HR, activities such as offering employment or internship and promotions could be a form of bribe, as shown earlier. In order to avoid any element of bribery and corruption in the recruitment of employees, the recruitment of employees should be based on approved selection criteria to ensure that only the most qualified and suitable individuals are employed. Each companies may have their own policies and procedures for recruitment, and you should follow such policies and procedures in place. For example, before advertising any vacancies, you need to list down the job specification, minimum requirements, the required qualifications and experience. Candidates need to disclose in the job application form his background, criminal record, in particular any conviction for bribery or corruption within or outside of the country, and any known relationship with any of the director or employee of the group, or any party having business dealings with the group. Interview panel shall not have any relationship with the candidate. Before making any offer of employment, the Human Resource Department shall make proper background checks on the selected candidate and reference checks with the previous employers, if necessary. Offers of employment should not be given in exchange for or to reward any benefit received by the group. You should not offer employment, procure and/or create an opening within the group in exchange for a personal benefit or seek an unfair advantage in any business negotiation, and should not place yourselves in a situation where you are made to compromise the group's interest by a current or prospective business partner, vendor, customer, or a public official in a hiring process. This policy lays out the group's general position, principles, procedures and guidelines in combating bribery and corruption. This policy is not intended to be exhaustive and should be read together with the group's various policies and guidelines. Executive management of each company, division, and business unit have the responsibility to ensure compliance with this policy and have the discretion to define any stricter processes, procedures and other mechanisms by which the policy is implemented. It is the responsibility of operational management to ensure that all procedures are documented and implemented in accordance with this policy and divisional policies, where applicable. Head of department has to ensure that a copy of the latest procedures are extended to compliance manager for records. Each operating company, division, or business unit is responsible for implementing a proportionate response to prevent and detect bribery and corruption, such as conducting risk assessment annually to assess risks of bribery and corruption. All operating companies may establish more stringent practices, and all employees must follow the standard operating procedures set. All accounts, invoices, and other similar documents and records relating to dealings with third parties should be prepared and maintained with strict accuracy and completeness. No accounts must be kept off book to facilitate or conceal improper payments. Registers of gifts, entertainment, and corporate hospitality shall be kept locally. Each local register shall have a nominated person who is responsible for it. The responsible person shall ensure that a register is kept in their department, division, or unit and that staff are made aware of it, and the entries in the register are full and accurate. The responsible person shall monitor entries regularly and bring any concerns to the attention of the head of department, head of operation as soon as possible. Head of department, head of operation is to review and sign off the register quarterly and bring any concerns arising from therefrom to the attention of the compliance manager. The reviewed gift and hospitality register should be forwarded to the compliance manager annually. Anyone, including external party, who has knowledge or information about any actual or potential bribery and corruption activities may report to the company via our whistleblowing channel. We will protect the confidentiality of the complainant, and no individual will be discriminated against or suffer any retaliation for raising genuine concerns if a report submitted by a complainant is found maliciously false, with an ulterior motive, without reasonable grounds that the information in the report is accurate or reliable, or for personal gain. The company reserves the right to take appropriate action against such complainant, including without limitation disciplinary action, or dismissal for employees, or legal action for any party. Where applicable, you may report any of your concern to the AC chairman or chairman of the board at the following email or by calling 03-796588882. The company respects that the complainant may wish to file the report in confidence. However, an anonymous allegation will be much more difficult for the company to follow up, as it is impossible to obtain further information from an anonymous complainant and make a proper assessment. The company encourages the complainant to come forward with his concerns and provide the relevant details of the incident, such as when and where did the incident happen, who are the parties involved. How do you know about the incident and any documentary proof? You have complied with one of the requirements by completing this briefing on anti-bribery and corruption. After this session, you should read the full policy and must familiarize yourself with the policy. The group will provide training to the directors and employees on a regular basis, in accordance with the level of bribery and corruption risk related to the position. All directors and employees shall attend such training, Human Resources Department will maintain records of the directors and employees who have received training and produce, communicate and update the training schedule. The group expects any party acting on its behalf to undergo appropriate training if such party is identified as posing a more than minor bribery and corruption risk to the group. The compliance managers will monitor the effectiveness and review the implementation of this policy. Internal control systems and procedures will be subject to regular audits to provide assurance that they are effective in countering bribery and corruption. This policy will be reviewed periodically by the Board of Directors and may be amended at any time. You should check out and familiarize yourself with the latest ABC policy from time to time. If you have any queries, you may drop an email to Hong Kong Compliance Manager, compliance_abc@mediachinese.com, Malaysia Compliance Manager, compliance_abc@sinju.com.my. You may get a copy of the ABC policy from your head of department, Human Resources Department, company's intranet, or MCIL website. Lastly, we wish to remind you that our company takes a zero-tolerance approach to bribery and corruption. You must say no to bribery and corruption. Never participate in any illegal or illicit acts of bribery and corruption. Never misuse your position. Never conceal, alter, destroy or otherwise modify any information on indents of bribery and corruption. Never collude with business associates in making false claims relating to work orders, products and services. Please report any real or suspected incidents of bribery and corruption which have come to your knowledge. Thank you.